You're listening to your Tuesday afternoon alternative here on WUDR Flyer Radio. I am overjoyed. I have a super cool guest on the show today, Josh Roush, who has a terrific new movie that we're excited about called Wrong Reasons. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So feel free to call me Art, Dr. J. I love it when students or guests call me Dr. J.
Okay, that's interesting. I go professionally as Dr. Josh Roush in a podcast I do with Kevin Smith. Yeah.
Oh, so now I want to call you. I want to call you Dr. JR. So now we have Dr. JR and Dr. J's. We're not physically touching, which of course would rip a hole in time and space.
It would.
That would be planet ending, universe ending, and we don't want to do that. But Josh,
can't open up any wormholes today.
Yeah, right. Hey, I don't want to give you any ideas, but I hear science fiction does okay.
That's fair.
But obviously, we're here to talk about your film, Wrong Reasons. Josh Roush, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
So let's just start at the obvious beginning. Wrong Reasons is a punk rock film, right?
Yes, sir. A punk rock feature film is how we're billing it. Also, Kevin has called it a punk rock thriller a few times, which is also appropriate.
And so when you say like a punk rock film or a punk rock thriller, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, the film embodies punk rock to an alarming degree. Essentially, this film is all about my love of the genre I grew up listening to, the genre that saved my life on multiple occasions. And the film is punk rock, not just in the music and the soundtrack that we have, but also just the ethos in making it. It was entirely DIY. We did it with a crew of like 5 people for the most part. We had a hand in every aspect of it. We had complete creative control, final cut, and we said what we came into it to say. So to me, like there is nothing more punk rock than that.
Well, I mean, it screams not just DIY, but it also screams artistic control, right? Your vision is what's there.
For sure. No, I totally agree.
And what would you say is unique to your vision? Because prior to this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you were much more of a narrative short filmmaker, a documentarian. So how does Wrong Reasons compare to your previous work?
It's very similar. There's a lot of curse words. We try to be funny. Yeah, that's fair. We try to, how can I put this? We really just wanted to be as authentic as possible, which is something that like I definitely have in my shorts as well. Most of the things are taken from like, real life. Most of my shorts are taken from real life encounters and stuff like that. But we just tried to be as authentic as possible and get that across in the filmmaking.
And for you, what did authenticity feel or look like?
Never being told what to do, never being told that there's such thing as a bad idea. We shot a lot more than we edited the film in a way that like we left a lot of large sections out. We tried absolutely everything in the film.
So nobody was handing you notes at the end of a shoot or something.
Exactly that. Everybody that got on board was very supportive, and they loved the script as a starting off point, and it was just a very inclusive environment.
Can you give us a synopsis of the film?
Yes. Let me look at my cheat sheet that I just happen to have right in front of me.
I
can give you the
probably a good idea, man. You don't want to be telling different people different ideas.
When an ambiguously intentioned masked man kidnaps the drug-addicted front woman of a punk band, it triggers a police investigation as well as a media circus.
So what's the media circus like in the film?
Well, so, we shot during COVID, so we had limitations, not just to our already incredibly small budget, but also to how many people we could have on set. So I had to communicate a media circus without showing a media circus,
Right.
which is incredibly hard to do. So we racked our brain, and the way that we kind of made it work in the cinematic universe is we do a lot of watching the television. Like the television is essentially a character, and we have like different news networks. Like we have a conservative news network that we kind of lambast, and we have a liberal network that we do the exact same thing to. So the film is also very much a commentary on the 24-hour news cycle as much as anything else. But that's how we kind of got across the media circuses. Like we have a lot of cameos from interesting cats that are like acting as news anchors, like Andy McElfresh. There's a couple TikTok stars that are on there whose names escape me at the moment. But yeah, that's how we try to convey the bigger world and the bigger aspect of it while, shooting on a $92,000 budget.
Wow. That is a tight budget. How did you make something like that work?
My amazing wife, who stars in the film, is also the producer. She is as talented as the day is long, not just on camera, but also behind it. She's a production supervisor on like the new Bradley Cooper Maestro movie. She was a production supervisor on Blonde, a lot of like award-winning kind of stuff. So thankfully, she's got a skill set that is wholly removed from me that she is fantastic at doing. Somehow she took this $92,000 budget, which got slashed by 25% because COVID costs. We spent 25% of the budget on testing, on isolate, all the various stuff that comes along with shooting during this time. And we got off the ground running during COVID. So we were one of only 2 productions that was running in Los Angeles at that time at the under, I think, $500,000 scale. And that's all thanks to her.
Wow. Well, I'm also super curious. So you say that the film was executive produced by Kevin Smith? How did that come about?
I'm currently in his theater right now. I'm spending a few months after tour, kind of just hanging out here and bugging him as much as possible.
How did you guys connect?
I've been working with Kevin. I had to do the math the other day. I think it's been about 13 years. And I started out just as a fan. Used to go to a lot of his events. He used to hold a lot of poker games. So I got to know him through there, and I was doing I had a punk rock band in Orange County at the time. And I just the more and more that I met in a small sweat box with 5 other smelly guys, the less and less appealing it was. But there's no world where I can't express myself. So I was like, well, this filmmaking thing really seems like I'm the captain. There's no other co-captains. And I can be the essentially the quarterback, if you will, to the entire experience and be more of the leader role. So that's kind of I adopted, I started shooting live engagements for him and stuff like that. I was the crowd camera. And then slowly just, after working with him more and more, started shooting docs on him for the features he does, stuff like that.
Oh, that's really cool. I've heard from so many people who've been connected to him or in his orbit, how he helps people, or how he creates situations for people to be able to accomplish or do what they want to do.
Truthfully, he's one of the kindest, sweetest people on the planet, and he takes care of his own, which is a quality that I love. The punk rocker in me loves. He definitely gives you room to swim. There's an unending amount of projects that are always cascading, coming through the door, so to speak.
Yeah. We're talking to Josh Roush. His new film, get this correct. His new film, Wrong Reasons, comes out soon. When's the release date, Josh?
So we're taking this film on a roadshow. For years, I've been Kevin's tour manager for Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and Clerks 3. So my wife and I are getting in a van. We're treating it like a punk tour. We're going to all the different theaters. We've got 10 to 12 dates announced right now, and it'll probably end up being 15 to 20 when it's all done. So we're coming through Dayton right now. Let me just look at my cheat sheet. On February 4th, playing at the Neon Movies. And then the next day, we're off to Chicago, and we're just doing a whole nationwide tour of this thing.
Wow. Wow. Well, I've got to ask, of course, because, well, we're talking, right? This is a radio show in Dayton, Ohio. You've got local connections, but you've also got great music in this film. Right? Could you talk to us about the music in the film? And of course, feel free to take the next couple hours to sing the praises of Night Beast.
Night Beast is they're my homies. They're some of the sweetest dudes on the planet.
Seriously, nice guys.
My boy Rob. I'm so proud of my boy Rob from Night Beast, the guitarist. He's one of the premier tattoo artists in like Ohio now.
His work is amazing.
It is. I've got some stuff on my legs that shows you where he started. Let me tell you, like, see, I got some stick figures on me, like on my thighs that are pure garbage. So anybody that's got a tattoo from him, you're welcome. He practiced on me.
Well, your sacrifice is definitely appreciated. His artistry now is like whole nother level.
No, he's absolutely like some of the pop stuff he does is like next level for sure.
Right,
But anyway, the punk rock, we my wife and I are in a band called Byproduct, and we supplied like a lot of the music in the movie. But we also got incredibly lucky, like when we started approaching like, you know, the punk rock community. We got like I've been shooting this thing called Muzak for the last few years, which is an organization where they put guitars in the hands of underprivileged youth. And Tim Armstrong plays this. Yeah, right. And it's ran by a guy named Donna Carey. He's a writer on The Simpsons. It's a fantastic organization. But the reason I got into it is because Tim Armstrong plays it every year acoustic. So I started shooting that, and I got to know Tim a little bit. And through our connections, I was like, do you mind, like, could we use this acoustic song for the movie? And thankfully, he said yes. And once he said yes, we got the Wipers. We got William Elliott Whitmore. We got Black Flag. Like, we got a who's who of like punk rock royalty that came out, and they gave us their music at like pennies. I don't think I'm allowed to say how much. Far less than they deserve.
It sounds like you got a discount, man.
Truthfully, and it's all honestly thanks to Tim saying yes. I actually have Tim Armstrong, L7, Black Flag, the Wipers, Channel 3, William Elliott Whitmore, the Unseen, who like always came through Dayton, Ohio, and our band Byproduct, and my boy Cam, who I'm in a band called The Overrides with. He did the entire score himself, so it's like a feedback drenched like guitar style score, and it's better than the movie deserves, honestly.
Oh, well, first of all, don't sell yourself short. Great music is only going to elevate the film.
That's fair.
But could you talk a bit about the score? So Cam is Cameron Mosavian, right?
Yes. The score. Yeah, Cam's been scoring all our stuff from like the Tusk documentary to the Clerks 3 documentary. What else has he done? Magnum Opus, he did, which is the Jay and Silent Bob reboot documentary. He's my go-to composer for absolutely everything, and he's the third member of Byproduct. He's the producer. It's like a very we didn't know which direction to go with the score, so he tried a lot of different unique styles, but he ended up settling mostly on an EBow, if you know what that is, through feedback. And it's just like this hauntingly beautiful, chaotic mess. And it's just, it complements the film so perfectly.
Well, so how did you connect with Night Beast? I'm assuming we should let our listeners and viewers know that you are connected to this area of the country, right? You came out of the Middletown, Ohio area between Cincinnati and Dayton. So sorry, you're a Dayton filmmaker, right? We're gonna throw labels at you here, brother.
I'll take that. Yeah, Middletown, Ohio, so named because it's between Cincinnati and Dayton. There's a Jeopardy question once.
Yeah, right. And it seems like people from our area have been on Jeopardy lately, which is kind of cool too. Um,
It
but
really
I have
is.
to ask, so like, was Night Beast like a personal favorite of yours in the area?
Oh, yeah, no, I've always loved Night Beast. I've been listening to their stuff since they were an entire different genre. I mean, you can't pin these guys down. They do so much experimental, interesting music. My boy Rob, like I said, is in it. Nick is in it. Nick Test is like one of the sweetest human beings I've ever encountered on the planet. And he's a road dog. So, like, anywhere I go, he's already toured through there. So I'm like, what's the local record store I should go to at this place? Like, what's the local bar I should go to at this place? And he always hooks up. He's a encyclopedia of knowledge for touring.
And that is so helpful. That is so incredibly
Truthfully.
helpful. So that's cool. So you've got a terrific local band in amongst, let's be honest, right? Punk rock royalty, as you mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Black Flag, L7. I mean, I don't have the accent anymore, but I am a kid from Minnesota, so there are a whole host of cool bands that like you're ticking off all these kind of just punk rock classics, right? So they gave you a break, and I've got to imagine that just helps you set the atmosphere in the film.
It truly does. And L7 in particular, Danita actually comes out and she did a cameo in the movie. And
Really?
she plays a gas station attendant, and she's incredible in the I'm surprised she hasn't actually done more acting. She's so good. And I really like kind of let her. I don't want to give spoilers, but she kind of goes off a few times, and it's classic what you would want in Danita Sparks.
Well, see, there's worth the price of admission right there.
That's true. That's true.
So I've also got to ask, how did you get started as a filmmaker from our area? What were your first steps that then led to making a film like this?
Sure. Yeah. I left town 20 years old. Just wanted to be in Orange County punk rock band. Orange County was always my favorite, time of music in punk rock. My favorite, like, geographical area. Truly, like, I mean, Social D, Channel 3, those bands are just instrumental in, like, my life. Yeah. So I moved out there, started a band called Piss and Blood. Actually, I joined an existing band called Piss and Blood. And that was the band I was talking about earlier. It didn't end the best, but I got my buddy Cam out of it. Cameron was the guitar player of the band. And then, like I said, I slowly just discovered that, like, although I love music, I want to be in charge, and I'm not a singer, so that's hard to do. So I got into filmmaking. I started I was working at Sony at the time for the PlayStation 3 video download service, and I was using my off hours and weekends to go volunteer for my buddy JC Reifenberg's company, who was shooting Kevin live on the weekends. So I started cutting my teeth with DSLRs, learning how camera gear works. Within the next year, I had already shot my first short. Then moved the natural progression to music videos from there, then started shooting docs for Kevin. Now I shoot just basically everything Kevin does. And yeah, that was kind of the path that led me to this.
Well, what was it like? And this might be my own bizarre curiosity here, but what was it like directing your wife?
Oh boy.
Because I'm just wondering, right? There are decisions a director has to make that artists, in the moment may not understand or right,
sure.
See the continuity that's in the director's mind.
No, for sure. Thankfully, my wife and I work very well together, and she's the co-tour manager on. She was the co-tour manager on Jay and Silent Bob Reboot and the Clerks 3 tour. So we are very used to working in close confines and continuing to try to have as healthy of a relationship as possible. But there were some clashes at times. There was one time in particular, I'm an absolute monster. She was chained up to the bed because she's kidnapped in the movie, and she had an idea, and I was like, "Oh, hold on, guys, hold on." actress has an idea, guys. She's like, I was in the doghouse for a week.
Oh, yes. You realize maybe halfway through you're saying it like, oops.
Yes. Yep. But honestly,
do I want to be married or do I want to be right?
Exactly. Do I want happiness or art?
Well, can't you have both? No, okay, no, sorry.
But honestly, she's such a natural. She had starred in one of Kevin's short films called the movie was called Holidays, and it's an anthology movie. And Kevin's section of the anthology movie was called Hollow Ian, and she's one of the 3 leads in that. So she'd already proven to me that she's got beyond chops because she's fantastic in the movie. So she really came to play. Like she learned how to play guitar and started a band because she knew we were going to eventually do this. So the whole reason we even have Byproduct is because she started learning guitar for the role. Wow. She's honestly the real talent in the relationship. Yeah.
That's okay. We'll edit this out. She doesn't need to know.
Yeah, don't let her get a big head, man. She'll leave me.
Well, I'm just gonna say I think you bring valuable experience and knowledge and skills to this too, Josh. I'm just gonna lay that out there.
Thank you, sir. I keep trying to tell her that.
Well, I mean, as you should, as you should. I am curious back to the theme of the film too, and forgive me if I just keep poking questions at you here. So
well, you're totally fine.
And without giving too much away, right? Is this a punk rock band that's really successful? And part of what you're exploring is
you can come in if you want,
like the life of stardom, the elements of stardom and celebrity culture. Are you kind of exploring some of that with this film as well?
I am. Hold on, I'm getting distracted by somebody. If you want to come in, come here.
Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you, Kevin? Nice to see you, man.
I was delivering packages. I've been reduced. My career is so in the shitter. I've been reduced to delivering Josh's packages all day long. He gets more packages from Amazon. I think he's fucking sleeping with Bezos, like engaged with him somehow, because my God, the amount of packages that come through here on a regular basis that just say Josh Roush, fucking heartbreaking. Is what it is.
They're for your
just want one package that says Kevin Smith. Just one.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh man, no worries.
Love you,
no worries. So
sorry,
Josh,
can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, no worries, man. You were a little distracted there, and it's always fun to say hi to people. So beyond apparently your connection to Jeff Bezos. No, I'm teasing now. I'm just being a jerk. But no. In all seriousness, is the band and is Liv playing someone who's at a high level of celebrity, and part of what you're exploring is what does it mean when things go wrong and you're not living that, that kind of gold road life?
What a fantastic question, man. It really, yes, she is playing somebody who's big in punk rock circles, which, as you know, does not equate to like nationwide success or worldwide success necessarily. She in the film, she has a boyfriend who is like creme de la creme of rock star. So she takes like a back seat in that relationship, being like, a punk rock star, which isn't nearly the same world as being a rock star. So we do deal a lot with like, what it means to be big in punk does not mean what it means to be big in most people's eyes. Right. You're still a working musician. Like you don't get the luxuries that the other style of life affords necessarily. But well, I'm trying to think of how to frame this without giving away spoilers. She does get more attention as a result of the kidnapping, which ultimately, kind of shows the world a bit more of her music.
Well, and that to me is this whole fascinating element. I think of all these interesting films where you've got these kind of power dynamics, right? These asymmetrical power dynamics, yes, where the kidnapped person becomes more powerful than the kidnapper, or or vice versa, and these other things start coming through. And I think of I'm a weird film guy. I think of films like Buffalo 66, right?
Oh yeah,
where there's this whole dynamic to the relationship that totally changes over time.
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's not, it's not as much in terms of physical being held like a chain or something like that, but there's this whole dynamic as these characters get to know each other where they become strangely symbiotic.
Very, very much in the DNA of this film, very much, without giving spoilers away.
Oh, and it's my job to try to get you right up to that edge, man.
We started with a lofty goal of the hell with it. We'll just spoil a little bit. I wanted to take the protagonist in the beginning and the antagonist and flip the script halfway through.
Yeah.
So what you get a different view of everything towards the end of it, and we do it so subtly, and the actors did such a fantastic job that, like, by the end of it, we have accomplished that.
Well, and to do that well is harder than I think most people think. Oh, well, then they at the 1 hour mark, they suddenly start. No, you can't do that, right? It's too jarring for a viewer. You got to be smooth and subtle about it.
Yes, and it's about the little interactions along the way that build to where you don't notice that you got there, but you turn around and you're there.
And that's like with Buffalo 66 or with so many other films I could think of, and I don't want to turn this into an ugly laundry list. But
I'll name films
don't realize
with you all day.
You're there. Don't realize that you've been led in different directions, and or where it goes back and forth, right?
For sure.
So I'm curious, here's a dumb non-punk rock question. What does success for this film look like for you?
We want to be a big fish in a small pond. I want as many eyes on this as humanly possible, not just punk rock, anybody. We definitely this would be a good crash course in what punk rock is to your mom. Like, we definitely cover it in such a way that we make it very matter of fact. So I will take any success. Would be lovely for me. Truthfully, we're just always looking at the next project. So we're trying to sell this, get it out there, get eyes on it, but we're already working on the next one. Which we'll do sink or swim. We don't stop.
Right. Anything you can tell us about the next project?
Yeah. It was previously called Beating Our Chest. It's Liv's. It will be Liv's directorial debut. I got mine. Now she's doing hers. I wrote and directed this, but she was so instrumental along the way in like script notes and revisions and ideas. Essentially, we're just flipping the script on it, and I'm doing the exact same for her. Like, she's on the 8th draft, I think, of the screenplay. Kevin loves it, and we're starting to figure out the raising of the funds right now, and trying to shoot in Los Angeles, which is not always the easiest because of tax stuff.
Oh, right. But
it's a Robert Altman kind of multi-narrative, is like the of women in the entertainment business from like all aspects of like breaking into it.
Oh, absolutely. Wow, this is so exciting. You've got to be both exhausted and excited at the same time about this.
Very much so.
So Josh Roush, Wrong Reasons is the name of the film. We'll be talking about this quite a bit over the next several weeks, or dare I say, the next several months. Already at work on a new project. You got to respect that, right? You got to respect that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're what we'll kick off the tour will be, Kevin's calling it Roushomon instead of yes, right? It's a great play on words. So that is a film series that we're doing at Atlantic Highlands at his new theater he just bought. It kicks off January 25th. It goes to the 28th, and it's all the docs I've made on his stuff. Then followed by the unreleased and unseen rough cut of the Michael Parks documentary I've been working on. And then it culminates with Wrong Reasons. And then Wrong Reasons sends us out onto the road. I believe we go straight to Philly, then we hit Dayton, then Chicago, and then it just cascades from there.
Wow. I appreciate all your time, Josh. And this sounds like an incredibly cool movie. And in an era where I think we could use more cool movies.
Thank you very much, sir. That does mean a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, all too often, right, we tear people down. We don't give support and accolades and love where we should. And I'm just going to put it out there. I think we could use more punk rock films.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
I do have to ask, totally unrelated to all of this. So I was a huge Social D fan for quite a while, but I remember watching the documentary, Another State of Mind, about the first incarnation of that band, which of course is very different than the Social D that everybody knows and loves. But of course they were kids then. And I'm just curious if you've seen Another State of Mind, and if so, do you have any thoughts about it?
I not only have I seen it, I own the DVD with the Mike Ness commentary. So I am you can't see it, but this arm is all Social Distortion. Yeah, I mean, I love the documentary. The commentary is specifically interesting because you can tell he's really hung up on the fact that the documentary crew got to sleep in like nice hotels, but they were like in squalor environments.
Right.
Well, yeah. But no, I love that documentary.
It's heartbreaking, right? That and early on, right, you could see the band was headed to a disastrous end. But they made such interesting music, even though they were so young and weren't quite sure what they were doing. And anybody who has either been in a band or is in bands like yourself can know all of these challenging dynamics to this. And you might have a great song idea, but it never comes to fruition, or the band can't do it the way that you hear it in your head, which of course drives every musician just a little mad.
Right.
Little 100%. Insane. And I've always thought that documentary needs to be seen by more people, in part because of that. Agree. And for Mike Ness to turn it around and then have success with a new version of Social D, then of course years later, I think for me, that's heartwarming.
No, I couldn't agree more. And just seeing like their genesis and their first few years of being a band, like he rolls on Social Distortion, the band that you've seen and you love. In this documentary, he rolls around and he fishes on the floor at one point. And it's just like, you don't see that from Mike Ness anymore. Like, it's really like watching an artist like find his legs and like figure out like how he's going to convey his piece in life. It's super interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 1,000,000%. Well, thank you for indulging my curiosity. I find so few people who've ever seen that film that to find somebody I can talk to about it. That alone, we could go hours, but I will not take up
I agree.
your valuable time. Well, I also think that as a songwriter and a musician, Mike Ness doesn't get the respect that he deserves. And I know the band has had some hit albums and hit songs, but I always think the deeper cuts from that band are more interesting.
I couldn't agree more. But yeah, no, I mean, like Drug Train, like anything off of Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell that's not a hit is like some great blues rock,
right? Like, well, and some of those tunings and stuff, it's like, where did this come from? Nobody tunes their guitars like that, or not just really cool solos or things like that, which of course, flashy stuff that people pick up on, but being the frustrated guitarist in this conversation, I'm always like, wait, how did they do that? Well, wait, that chord progression. Wait, what is that?
and I think for your second album is go ahead. I mean, for your second album as a punk rock band to be like, and now we're going to do country. It's like, that's ballsy.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, and to do it well, right?
Yeah.
It's one thing to do it, but it's another thing to do it and sound good.
Yep. I totally agree.
Well, Josh, clearly we're going to have to hook up another time to talk about.
I'm so down. I love this. This is fantastic. You have good taste, sir.
Oh, well, you're too kind. You're too kind. If we were at home, behind me would be an old Social D poster. They played a place called the Saloon in Minneapolis, which everybody thought was so strange because it was at the time, it was a great music venue, but it was seen down upon by some members of the music community because it was a gay bar. And
okay.
Social D, along with other punk bands, right? They played at the venues that would support that style of music, that venues that wouldn't be judgmental or, hey, you got to turn it down or, crap like that. And I remember seeing them there and just having a great experience. The band was on fire. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm totally stealing one of these posters off the walls because I want to remember this night.
They put on a hell of a show. I mean, there's, like you said, there's been so many incarnations of Social D.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing them in Bogarts in 2004, I want to say, because I came back to town just to see the show. So was I. Oh, it was so good. It was life-changingly good.
Yeah, Bogarts has changed quite a bit over the years. I was there not too long ago. The Afghan Wigs came back to town, and great show. But I'm also a huge Greg Dooley fan.
Sure.
And there's just something. I love that kind of down and dirty elements in bands, right? They can be great, right, in terms of their skill and talent as musicians, but they can just hit you with a great guitar line or a great chord progression or just great emotion. And I'm a sucker for that.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's at the heart of any good music. Bogarts is real weird. I haven't been there in years, but I used to see the Unseen, Dropkick, Social D. Everybody went through there.
And for many bands, right? Bogarts is, if you weren't able to play a huge venue, but you also wanted to be treated well, Bogarts was a great venue for that. And I've seen lots of folks at Bogarts, and even a few times where I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I'm not the demo here. I'm not the demographic here, but I think we're all just having a great time.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's what it should be about, right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, Josh, I can't thank you enough. Josh Roush, Wrong Reasons is the film. Gonna be in Dayton in early February at the Neon Theater. February 4th is doing a punk rock tour around the country, showing his film. Wherever you are, wherever you have a chance to see this film, do so. I can tell you right now, even though I haven't seen it, shut up with your judgment. This is going to be a great film.
Oh, you are such a sweetheart. If anybody wants to find out more, they can go to findcatoden.com. That's cat with a K and ODEN. Findcatoden.com. That's where we have the full list of dates and all of the information and posters on the movie.
Well, Josh, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time.
From one doctor to another, this was an absolute pleasure.
Well, Dr. JR, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Dr. J.